This would be a feedback slash critique for Tom3k. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Alright. We'll just do the usual introductions. You know me as Shazam on the Discord or whatever. And I'm just a nerd who likes Tekken and Paul. I am by no means a pro at this game, and I'm mainly just giving feedback based on all the fucking, oh man, so many hours. All the hours of playing Paul, all the time watching other Paul players and playing against him to go, hey, here's what you're doing and here's what I think you can improve on, right? At the end of the day, it's just a guy giving his 2 cents, right? And take what I say take what I say with a grain of salt, but take into consideration. It's just feedback to try and help you and avoid some, common mistakes or frustrations later on down the line. With that said, let's get into it. I'm just gonna start in the middle. Oh, baby, this quality is something else. I hope it loads up properly, otherwise I'm just gonna restart this. Wow! Okay, so right off the bat. Oh, YouTube. Oh, did you block out your name? That's funny. You block back 1 from King, and now King's turn is over. I don't think it's punishable. I think it's only like -9. Oh, -7. Yeah, so not like the worst, but not the best either. Yeah, so as you see right there, so you do like jab into down 4-2. Not the best, not the worst, solid. It's perfectly fine. But then you do back 3 for some reason, and I'm not sure why. Outside of a person sidestepping right too much, and punish situations, don't use back 3. Right? The hitbox is ass, the range is ass, and you're more often gonna have it ducked and punished than successfully launching someone with it, right? It is a punish tool and combo filler. It is not something that you want to be using too often in the neutral. And, whatever I say, it's never going to be like, excuse me, it's never meant to be kind of like a damnation of your playstyle or whatever. It's never going to be like, how dare you use back 3? All I'm saying is this. There are downsides to that move that typically people shy away from using it in neutral for these reasons, and you have better options at your disposal. So avoid using, do less back 3 and focus more on other ways to implement your game plan or goals. A good duck, but I'm not sure why the awkward punish, right? You had the immediately right read because he's going to run up and grab you, and this should have been a launch. I'm not going to harp on character matchup punishment stuff too much unless there's something where it's like, hey, you were literally letting him get away with murder with this, right? All I'm going to say is, brush up on the punishment. Any whiffed throws by the Kings or any of the grapplers, it's a launch opportunity. You should definitely go for that. If you're worried about lag, fucking it up, at least go for like wall standing 3-2, right? And if you're super worried about just being super late and you're just like, man, I just don't think I'm gonna make it in time for the punish, wall standing 4 will be fine, right? The goal is typically, because the main thing is, grabs typically have no downside, right? You either break them or they get basically an unblockable on you. So when you duck them, you're taking a risk because you're vulnerable to mids. But if they go for the grab and then they whiff it, that's a huge momentum swing in your favor, and not capitalizing on that hurts you, right? Especially against literal grapplers where they're going to be going for grabs a lot. You need to make them aware that you're ready to duck and punt and launch them on reaction, right? Because you're basically I don't think the route matters too much, but you're basically just giving up at least minimum 60 free damage here, right? Again, with the back 3, I think it just leaves you like -9. It's not the worst, but not the best. Okay, yeah, forward 2-1 from Armor King, right? There is only the high follow up. Only the high. The moment you see the first part, duck and launch the second part. All the time, right? The worst thing he can do is stop at the first part and, oh no, you sacrificed your turn. But the goal is to make sure that they never do the first part. Otherwise, it's a safe way for them to get in. And yes, you're currently using it as an opportunity to go for Demo Man, which is understandable, but you're taking a huge risk when you could have, again, easily just duck and launched. Hmm. So, at the wall, at these early stages, a lot of people are just going to be ducking at the start, right? Everybody knows about Paul and Demo Man. They're going to be very scared, and then they're going to be ducking, right, in response to your low. Ducking also beats highs, and throws are just another form of high moves, right? So here, this should have been mids. This should have been something like, you know, up back two, core circle back two, right? And Death Fist, but I think you overcommit to your Death Fist, but we'll talk about that later. So yeah, just be more cognizant that people are going to be more wary of ducking at the wall against Paul. At the high levels, they're not really. They're like, the goal is to just make sure you stand block until you have a good read on Demo Man or something. But at the low levels, a lot of people are just like, if they know about Paul, they know about Demo Man, they're more inclined to duck. So you don't want to be using throws and other highs that leave you vulnerable like that. That was a good punish. Well, it wasn't a punish, but he was just pressing something after, so you got it, which is fine. Yeah, way to go, Shredders. So, uh, this right here should have just been, back four, right? Okay, so he's just backing away. He's not crouch blocking. He's not doing anything that hurts you, and it's perfectly okay. Going for a throw in that situation is not the worst, but there's also no point. Doing back 1+4 throw here, which is what looked like what you were going for, just doesn't do anything, right? You have a more advantageous situation currently because his back is closer to the wall, and if you do something like up back to the side, you'll get like a side wall spot into knockdown or something, right? It is more his options to move around and do stuff and mess up your stuff through backdashing and movement are a lot more restricted here. Going for something like back 1+4 just serves no purpose. It's not going to kill him, and all you're doing is just losing all your wall pressure and resetting to neutral. You have a huge health lead, so that's fine, but it's more like you're just creating more work for yourself. So this should have been, movement into sidestep 3 or do back 4. Rip. Oh, good break. Huh. A tragedy. Nice. YOLO hop kick never fails at this early stages. uh okay, if you need help with ultimate punishment, just after you get the first part, right? The 2-1 down 1, just mash key charge or whatever. Technically all you need to mash is 1+2+4, but key charge also works. Just bind a button to it, mash it out, and you can mash out ultimate punishment. You don't need to do like the full input or whatever. But that's if you're interested in using ultimate punishment. Online it's tough. This is like really hard to react to, but this is 23 frames, right? It's in that realm of reactability where you want to make sure that you block it and get your easy launch, right? Anytime you block a stagger low, that's like 70 damage in your favor, and you need to make sure you block those opportunities. There, it can be difficult online, and then just kind of like, you have to have a read on your opponent's timing. But this dude was just going for them all the time. The frequency at which you should have been getting a free 70 damage is really high. No break, which is unfortunate, but no, he's mixing it up, whatever. Oh, AK. No fucking punishes whatsoever. Good break. And he's dead. Damn. So again, right? So you're faced with, if you had just ducked it, you would have gotten a full launch. You did Demo Man, which was successful because this dude's just not blocking low, even though he's safe. But you have to understand, you're risking a lot, right? You're risking a stagger block into full damage punish for 47 damage and a knockdown, which is basically just a glorified reset to neutral, versus you duck the second part of the string because you know he's always going to be completing it and getting a full launch opportunity. Now your opponent's back is to the wall, and now you just get to go ham, right? You need to maximize your damage where you can get it. That's a big part about playing Paul in the future, is that anytime your opponent just makes mistakes like this, you need to be capitalizing with your punishment. You at the end of the day, it's a free country. You can opt to, just go for your mix-up opportunity if you want. That is honestly a viable strategy in certain situations, but just the mix-up is just, the rewards aren't there versus when you could have just gotten a launch. That said, Demo Man is fun, so who knows. Good break. Unfortunate. So again, stagger blocks are a thing, right? Stagger block is, this unique animation where the opponent's like in a really fucked up state, and then here you can get delayed hop kick. A delayed hop kick, I legit think might have killed, right? That shit's like easy 70 damage. You need to make sure, you maximize your punishment opportunities by going for the delayed hop kick when you can. You're basically, you just need to tighten up your punishment. Unfortunate. Let's see how the run back goes. I guess, dude. Unfortunate. There we are. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, good combo. He knows. Rip. If he knew, he should have just hop kicked, but whatever. He just doesn't change up his grabs. Mm. Do we get it? Do we get? And death. Okay, so I mean, I'll let the video keep playing in the background. If anything comes up, I'll say my piece on it. Neutral, combo, punishment slash match of knowledge, combo slash OP, personal opinion stuff. Neutral. Oh. Excuse me. You're just way too aggressive. You're there's like there's no reason for you to go in as much as you are, right? This AK is just throwing forward 2-1 all over the place. He's just throwing down back threes all over the place. You could literally just stand still and just block and then kill him with maybe 2 to 3 combos just based on those alone, right? You being aggressive isn't inherently a bad thing. It's just you're putting on too much risk on yourself when you don't need to be doing it, and all you're doing is just building bad habits, right? Whenever there's like an awkward neutral situation, you're unsure what to do, you just kind of throw out a launcher and hope that it works out, right? It's like, oh no, my opponent did a launch punishable low. I guess instead of, just blocking and launching the thing, I'm just gonna do, hop kicks instead. And while it's not necessarily the worst thing, right, like shredders and hop kicks are an answer to lows, against a launch punishable low, right? When all you need to do is just block it like once or twice to discourage him from using it, or you just keep blocking it and you get free launches. The damage you gain from blocking it and then launching with something like delayed hop kick versus just normal hop kick is huge, right? Normal hop kick's like 12, 13 damage, maybe 15, but a delayed hop kick is an easy 25 damage combo starter, and that's huge, right? In neutral, you just don't poke ever. You just kind of keep throwing out like the power moves and stuff, and it seems like unsure, right? Like here's a down 4-2, here's a launcher, here's another launcher, right? And then when it comes to like the small Tekken situations where Paul has to rely on his faster, just more basic tools like a jab, a down forward 1, a down back 4, etc. You're just unsure of how to handle these things. You're just too aggressive, and that's just going to get you killed. It doesn't matter what this AK is doing if you're just going to keep running into all of his shit. If in a up close and personal situation is not where you want to be against AK, right? He's got all the Tekken tools he would want. His down forward 1 is better than yours up close, right? When you're both brawling and stuff, the speed of his down forward 1 beats your down forward 1, even though your down forward 1 has a plethora of better follow-ups and situations. You want to be at a sort of mid-range against him where he's running into you, and then you can utilize your keep-out moves to run into him, right? And then stuff like just a simple jab would have been an easy disruption or a simple duck or something, but it's just kind of like, alright, I'm just going to keep pressing all my launchers and hope that they work out. That is fine for now, but in the long run you will face against people who are more privy to that style and just punish you, or just not fall for it because they're just not going to run into your launchers as often as they used to. Try to use I'll go into that'll come up more in like personal opinion stuff, but just try to use more core circle forward 3, more back 4, more opportunities to get in for some chip damage, right? If you're facing an aggressive opponent, talk about that more. Alternatively, if you're facing an aggressive opponent where you never get an opportunity to poke or something, that's understandable. So just block. Try to experiment with how you block and see. Like if you didn't know that you could duck forward 2-1, sure, that's understandable. But experiment in the heat of the match, right? It's like, okay, he uses this string a lot. I see him use the string a lot. Let me try different opportunities. Can I interrupt it? Spoiler alert: you cannot interrupt AK forward 2-1. But can I move again? Can I sidestep it or something? The answer is no. Can I duck it? And yes, you can. But the weird explanation aside, the thing is that you need to start experimenting and start learning what you can do to punish your opponent over relying on strings and stuff like that. Just blocking it and going for Demo Man every single time is not a sustainable solution. You're risking getting launched yourself when you could have easily launched, right? Rip. Other aspects of neutral. There we go. It just feels like you're too aggressive, and then you just die accordingly, right? You're not sure how to like formulate a game plan, create your own offense, etc., 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 and then you just die for it. Yeah, man. That's just kind of a thing you gotta learn, where you face against stronger opponents who punish you for over relying on like big power moves and counter hit launchers, and then focus and try to force yourself to play a more poking style, right? Poking doesn't necessarily mean that you have to only win through pokes. You can never do a single poke. If you want to do that, more power to you. But it's more about utilizing your less commitment heavy options for some free chip damage, and when your opponent is just throwing themselves at you, you just block and punish a few times for an easy victory, right? Punishment / matchup knowledge. Yeah, I already talked about it. You need to handle the string cheese a bit more easily. This AK just refused to stop using forward 2-1 because you never gave him a reason to stop using it, right? You just blocked every single one, and then you went for Demo Man, which is a risk you don't need to take. Other aspects of punishment. If the opponent is aggressive, just let him be aggressive. Let him run up to you, and then utilize your punishment knowledge and Paul's strong punishment kit to get free damage, essentially. Like, let's take a look at this, right? It's like this awkward neutral thing. You don't know he's going to be doing free damage. He's ducking free damage, right? If you just duck there, you'd have launched him easily. Yeah, so it's like, you don't always need to be aggressive, especially online, because everybody's so fucking aggressive. You can just as easily just stand your ground and then net free damage from simply punishing the opponent. Combos / Oki. Combos looked solid. Really good capitalization with core circle forward 1 to get like a neat wall splat into full wall combo, etc., etc. No complaints there. Oki, you could be utilizing Oki a bit better. How do you handle a knockdown situation? Paul doesn't have Oki. He has like memes for Oki, right? Like he got the back 2-1 stuff. But again, it's more so just memes. Rip. At the wall though, like you have really strong wall tools right now. Rip. You have really strong wall tools. That should have been a launch. You know, like forward 1+2, right? Forward 1+2 is normally very linear, but when your opponent's back is to the wall and if they're at an angle, their movement is a lot more restricted, so you can, leverage those tools more strongly. Yeah, so combos are solid. Oki could be a bit more, possibly more opportunities there, but I think you're fine for now. Personal opinion stuff, right? Tools that I think are neat that you could be using a bit more, but your mileage may vary. Is it really working that much time? You gotta stop with the back 3, dude. You utilize Paul's throw game, which is solid, but also just using, using more quarter circle back 4, quarter circle back 2. Stop relying on Death Fist so much as a... God damn it. Especially against AK, don't use Death Fist because he has a consistent punish for it, right? Where forward 2-1 doesn't reach, shoulder will always hit you for easy damage and a knockdown. Quarter circle back 2 is your friend. It's like the safe Death Fist, right? It's a high damage knockdown into more guaranteed damage if the opponent doesn't hold back, which not a lot of people are going to do early on, so you can easily run up for a free down back 2. And Corsical back 4, it's a homing plus on block counter hit launcher. Right? All of these properties are really strong. You can discourage your opponent from stepping, you can discourage your opponent from recklessly approaching, because they just net easy counter hit launches all day, every day, right? More Corsical forward 3 and back 4, right? These moves, they're very fast, easy chip damage because they're lows and don't require such heavy commitment from you. You're using way too much demo man, right? It's just gonna get you killed later on when it's ingrained into your habit that, like, oh, I can use demo man here, and then the opponent moves back like 1 pixel and the clean hit messes up. Can you be safe in certain situations because the opponent doesn't have a good demo man punish? Sure, you're still building a bad habit, and you also risk just the opponent just blocked low and then you die for it. Paul has a lot of other stronger tools to be utilizing more than just demo man, right? Like sidestep 3, Corsical forward 3, even back 4, just because it's relatively fast and it's super safe versus the literal death on block that demo man is. The overarching theme and goal here is you're taking on a lot of risks that you don't need to. So try to utilize more tools that offer decent rewards but a lot more safety. See, exactly, like right there, right? He's doing a lot of highs, and then you do Corsical forward 3, it high crushes, and then you got guaranteed demo man, which drops, unfortunate, but it's fine. But yeah, just you're overcommitting with Paul when you don't need to. And I'm not saying this as like a how dare you play this way. I'm simply trying to save you some time, dude. These are bad habits and headaches that are going to be annoying to break later on when you do finally face stronger opponents. And I'm just trying to save you some headaches. If you have more specific questions like what you should be doing, tools to use, etc., 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 feel free to ask. You're in the Paul Discord, let us know. You do you at the end of the day. All I'm giving is, my feedback and my 2 cents. Alrighty.